All right, everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and I am joined by Old Man Logan, representing the Three Scoundrels in the Cantina podcast. Again, their Discord and the channel to the YouTube, and I think I guess I have a Spotify link as well, right? I'll make sure to try and link all of that.
We're not on YouTube. We're definitely on Spotify. Three Scoundrels every Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. But hey, Fat Phil, thanks for having me on again, man. I really do appreciate the time. This is a lot of fun. I like doing this.
Absolutely, and obviously, if you guys don't know, Logan here is like a Datacron. He loves them. So we bring him on here because his own podcast hates Datacrons more than me. And we're giving him the outlet, and he's going to teach us kind of, here's the stuff to aim for. I think a lot of times with Datacron sets, content creators get a little bit too specific. You need this Kira-Kron or else you suck. And if you have like a level 1 Kira, that's kind of a useless piece of information. So we're going to kind of break it down for you guys in ways that will help you utilize these outside of just those spectacular level 9s. So I have a handy-dandy spreadsheet that will kind of be filling out as we go along here. So, old man, let's kind of just start with, I'm going to call you old man or Logan. I got to be consistent here.
Yeah, no, I very much like this system of how we're doing this. We're going to break down, pretty much everything from, the alignment, light side, dark side, faction, character, and then stats. I think that's a good place. So where did you want to start? Alignment?
I think the stats, because I think this set, and I hear if you back me up, that the stats are arguably some of the most important pieces to this set, because there's a lot of really, really good stats here. I'd argue you have 4 of the best 5 stats for Datacrons.
No, I would wholeheartedly agree. I mean, the only one on here that I would really, if I got tenacity, that's the one that I'd be like, really, that's what you're gonna stick me with. Offense, obviously, who doesn't like more offense? Now, I will say if you get offense on the level 1 or 2, keep it, but it's only 1 or 5%. Take it or leave it.
Yeah,
Now, the one thing I'm finding fascinating through every level, 1, 2, 4, 5, and 7, and 8, is the armor pen. I mean, you're going to start seeing Datacrons out there that have over 300% armor penetration. It's just, that is going to start becoming obscene.
You know what's funny? It's funny you say armor pen. I have one current Datacron for this set, and my first roll was 23% crit damage. Then I got tenacity. Then I got more tenacity. And then like 30% critical damage. Like I got really high critical damage rolls for each, aspect, to be fair. The last 2 rolls were 97 and 93% armor pen.
Yeah.
So I was very, very pleased with that. I was very happy. But it's funny you mentioned armor pen, because that's a huge one that I think people skip out on. Mm-hmm. So if we rated... Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, if we rated these 1 being the best, 7 being the worst, where would you start with the worst? Would you put crit chance there, or would you put tenacity there?
I would put tenacity. I mean, there are so many irresistible debuffs in this game that we're getting to the point where a tenacity stat is not... I just don't feel like it's something that's on a lot of people's radar, depending on the character.
Yeah.
As we'll get in later... Nest has an excellent cron. You're going to want to mod her for high tenacity. But again, there's just so many irresistible debuffs that it's like, okay, you could have a cron that's got, over 150 extra tenacity, and it's not going to matter.
Yeah, you get tenacity down from Mara Jade, and it's over anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I would put tenacity as the worst. If you roll tenacity, make that a prime candidate for a reroll.
Okay, there we go. So tenacity, then crit chance. So then you kind of have, I'd say, 5 solid stats, and I'm gonna let you rate these 1 to 5, and I'm curious if it lines up with where I think they are. So between your critical damage, your health, protection, armor pen, and offense, how would you kind of rate those 5 remaining stats?
All right, so I'll start from what I would want the least to what I would want the most.
Yep.
We already knocked out tenacity. Um, Honestly, I don't know if anyone's going to agree with me on this, but the next one for me is crit chance. I'm just, you know what, whenever you play this game, you end up critting so much. I don't. I mean, maybe under some circumstances, team dependent,
Yeah, it just
that could come
doesn't.
into play, but crit chance would be next on the list of me going, all right, really. After that, I would definitely go with, well, it's kind of a toss up between health and protection. I mean, I'm
Ooh.
going to want to roll as many health secondaries as I can because in this set for Dark Side, you can still get a lot of utility out of Malgus, and the more health Malgus has, the more deadly he is.
Okay.
But then
Interesting.
again, some teams like Jedi Master Luke, you'd want a lot of protection for more survivability. So I'd kind of put those in the same category of those are the next two that I, wouldn't be, overly thrilled with, but I would take it.
Yep.
Um, Next would be crit damage. You can never say no to that. Crit damage is outstanding. Nothing screams Swigo like getting a ridiculous critical damage hit in a time of need. So,
It's so
and
true.
some of the stat, I mean, levels 1 and 2, you got 10 to 25%.
Yeah, level 7 to 8
Four and
is
five,
30.
25 to 35, and level 7 and 8 is 35 to 45. If you were to get like one crit damage in each category,
Oh, you're.
I mean, you're looking at a ridiculous amount of crit damage.
Yep.
And last but not least, the one that I would covet the most is what team doesn't want more offense. Now,
What?
mind you,
And then, sorry. And then armor pen would go in the second slot there.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Apologies. Yes, armor pen would go in the would that would be the next spot. Again, you got to be careful with armor penetration because if it's special damage, yeah, if it's special damage, I don't think it works. It has to be physical damage.
But with armor pen, I still think it helps. I feel like it's. I feel like it helps. I could be wrong on that. I feel like the resist. I feel like resistance pen and armor pen end up doing this. I feel like they end up doing the same thing. I know they're not supposed to, but I've always felt like they do. But I could be very. I know someone's going to
No,
correct
you
me
know
on
what? No,
that.
I got it now because I rolled a cron today, and I'm not gonna lie. I re-rolled it a couple times because I was on a roll with armor pen, and I kept getting it. And one of my mob enforcer crons, I now have over 313% armor penetration.
Oh my god.
And I posted it in my Discord, and Avant chimed in. He goes, "Well, too bad Boosh does special damage." So yes, with special damage, armor. So it's not physical damage; it's special damage. With special damage, armor pen doesn't make a difference, but in physical damage, it does. So that's why I would put armor pen next. And then again, as I said, last but not least, who doesn't like more offense? Now, granted, level 1 and 2, you're looking at 1 to 5%.
Yeah, it's.
Not the greatest numbers, but it doesn't hurt. If I roll a 2% on level 1, I'm gonna keep it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, every bit of offense helps. Now, when you get into levels 4 and 5, and you're looking at 5 to 10%, and then 7 and 8 offense from 10 to 20%, I mean, you have the potential of, let's see, 40, 50, 60, um, 70 plus offense on a team.
Oh, it's crazy. And that I feel like the thing with offense is that I've always said crit damage is situational. That there are certain situations where crit damage it does nothing.
It
Like
is. Yep.
once Lord Vader is below 80% health, you cannot crit him no matter what you do. You know, you think of Malicos at the start of a battle. You cannot critically hit him for what, 2 turns
Yep.
kind of thing. Like offense works 100% of the time. You're always going to hit harder. But and the other side too is like arc troopers just arc troopers turret, like true damage. They don't care about crit, but they do care about offense. So offense to me is always like the king of these stats because it is so impactful.
Yeah, I mean, offense is king. I mean, if you already have a team that has a lot of, offense, it's just adding more. So definitely the tops for me is, offense, crit damage, armor penetration. Those are the top three, and then the
Would you
rest are kind of.
would you put armor pen? Would you put armor pen second or crit damage second?
I'd put crit damage second. Armor
Okay.
pen I'd put third.
All right, so then we get to. I was thinking like we do like the top three for each Galactic Legend because they're not going to follow the same. They're not always going to. Every GL might want different things. Like you talked about JML wanting protection. I think everybody knows that. So if we think of like Rey, what are the three stats that you think she would want the most?
Oh, with Rey, health. I mean, the higher Rey's health pool, the better that team functions. So I would actually say for Rey, for instance, I would want health and crit damage.
Health and crit damage or health and offense?
Health and crit damage, to be honest, because when she does her whirlwind, or and especially Ben Solo, when he crits, he hits like a truck. So you add that crit damage, that's just gonna be even more gross.
And then offense on the third one there to just any extra offense helps.
Rey definitely health, crit damage, and offense.
And then Kylo, you'd almost argue the exact same three stats.
Kylo, crit damage, offense, or armor pen. Because I think if I double check, let me actually check Kylo. I think Slicker runs primarily.
Because the crit damage and offense for him always.
The target was stun, deal physical damage.
Yeah, so armor pen for him actually helps a lot.
Yeah.
And I think with.
So again, anybody that does physical damage, you're in a good spot. So yeah.
So yeah, I think so that makes so for him we don't want to, and I think with I was gonna argue health, but I think with Darkside Rey now, he doesn't need as much survivability in Grand Arena anymore because she's gonna.
No, I completely agree with you because in the time that I've had playing with Slicker and the new Rey, it's like you're right. Survivability is not a factor. Especially with the last set where Darkseid is getting 25% plus turn meter at the onset, and the fact that Kylo now gets to his ultimate so much quicker and Rey is so deadly, it's I mean, you're just gonna want crit damage, offense, armor pen,
especially if you can get like a
health, protection, crit chance, and that's one thing Slicker doesn't need is
crit chance. And like with Kylo too, if you can get one of those cheap kills right away, you're gonna end up removing all your turn meter, gaining a ton of max health, and then it's just game set match at that point.
Yeah.
So now Sith Eternal, what stats would you be aiming for?
Health. All health.
Yep.
Sith Eternal works better with health. Maybe crit damage if you get it, but once you get to his ultimate, two people are dead, team dependent.
Yep. Would you even throw protection on there just for the sake of I'm thinking for like 3v3, I've used him with Bane to counter like Galactic Legend Ahsoka. Any extra protection you can get kind of helps them top off their banners.
Yeah, I mean that's a possibility. I mean, either health or protection, you're not gonna go wrong with that.
Yeah. Now JML, this is I'd say the first one where people will kind of get like, you gotta, JML. I put protection number one for him always. Is that
You put which one?
protection is first for JML anytime there's a Datacron with a protection stat for me. For the special.
Yeah, I would definitely focus with Jedi Master Luke. I would definitely focus on protection and crit damage, to be honest, because with the amount of assists that you can do with a Jedi Master Luke team, and now that the team you got, Cal Kestis has an interesting cron that can go with that team. Jedi
Yep.
Master Luke hits like a truck. Darth Revan does work. So the more crit damage you have, whenever you use that one ability Jedi Master Luke has to have a bonus turn, it's just it does so much more damage.
And would you say offense in the third slot there, or would you think ramp the health?
I would actually go offense. You have so many potent attackers on that team.
Yep. Now JMK, this one's a bit. This is a more interesting team because Commander Tano's special damage and Kenobi and Snips are physical, correct?
Yeah, it's kind of this team is kind of a weird split. And of course, Kat is going to do her thing and not punch someone's ticket out of the gate. So, but I would honestly think with this one, crit damage.
Yeah.
It's one thing I've noticed. If it's one thing I've noticed about that team, it's not AOE heavy, right?
No.
Like
Yeah. It's all.
it operates very much on your killing targets on priority. You're not doing mass damage to kind of whittle it down. You're focusing one down and moving on from there. So I think the more crit damage and or offense you have to whittle down said one target is going to free you up to work more quickly and efficiently.
Yeah. And then I'd probably throw health in that third slot for them just to kind of marry up to the protection up that they get from like high ground and at the start of the battle.
I would actually, to be honest, I would actually go with protection, just for the simple fact of the protection regain from Jedi Master
Ooh.
Kenobi's kit, and if you have Padme in that team, her second special gives bonus protection. So the more protection you have, it's just
Well,
more shit for your opponent to chew through.
it isn't. But your bonus protection and protection up are both based off of your max health.
I think they are. You might, yeah, no, yeah, yeah.
Because I've always gone with like if you look at my Snips and my Cat, they're both modded for max health with
What?
offense
Glad you
secondaries.
mentioned that. I do. I always forget that protection up is based on your health. I always I always forget that.
It's it took me the longest time to figure that out, and then once I did, I noticed my Kenobi team was a lot better.
It's like one of those little things. You're like, oh yeah, that's what that does.
Yes. So now Lord Vader, everybody's favorite GL.
Oh, man,
It's this is these are the stats that he loves. Like there's, I mean, outside of crit chance and tenacity, he loves all of these stats.
he really does. Honestly, for you to want Lord Vader to be more efficient, I would have obviously you're avoiding tenacity, but I would avoid health and protection as well. That's not. I mean, more often than not, when you're using Lord Vader, you're not relying. I mean, yeah, Maul will do some work, but the
Yep.
rest of the sides, you're not relying on them to really knock people out. You're relying on getting Vader to as many ultimates as you can to ramp up that damage.
Yep.
So I would say, honestly, either offense or crit damage.
Yeah. I was thinking the like offense, crit damage, and then either armor pen or throwing protection in that third slot.
Yeah. See, again, I'm not. It's so hard to memorize. There's so many kits to memorize. Lord Vader. That's not based off special damage. I don't think, but I'm gonna check. No, deal physical damage. That's on his unshackled emotions. No. So yeah, Vader is all physical. So yeah,
Yeah.
armor pen will work on him very well.
So then we get to Jabba with this Hut Cartel.
Ah!
And I'm very torn on this faction because I think I don't want to say there's not a wrong answer, but it's definitely a little bit more interesting with the whole, and we'll get to the level 9s and stuff, that some of those level 9s, certain stats might, I won't say overkill, but like, might be better to have some of other stuff versus loading up on like offense. Like, I think with Jabba, I think Jabba, I'm almost going to argue with health and just let other mechanics work their way through. Does that make sense?
No, it does. It totally makes sense. In fact, I'm kind of looking through Hut Cartel right now. Armor Pen is going to be, and I know this is going to sound weird because I talked about this earlier. Armor Pen is not going to be bad for them because if I'm looking at this correctly, um, the optimal cron you would want obviously is going to be, and we'll get to it, but is going to be Mob Enforcer.
Yep.
Mob Enforcer and Skiff Lando are both physical damage.
What is
Now,
what is Embo?
um, stand by. I'm so glad I'm right in the game. Embo is physical.
So because I'm just thinking out loud. I would sub out Lando for Mob Enforcer because Embo has the dispel on his basic.
Only Jabba and Boosh do special damage. The
Yep.
rest of the team is physical.
So
So
our
while, yeah, a Kron with very high armor pen is not going to benefit Jabba or Boosh, you're going to see a difference with, I mean, however you want to round out the team, which could be obviously Chrysanthemum. I'm going to be using in 5v5 GAC, I'm going to be using Jabba, Chrysanthemum, Boosh, Skiff and Mob Enforcer.
okay. And then would you throw offense on that, like armor pen and offense, kind of being the two stats after health?
Um, no, only because the way I have my Hut Cartel modded, they're in really good shape. Depending on where their offensive profile falls, either special or physical. So honestly, with Hut Cartel to give them more oomph, especially with how often you are going to get thermal detonators off on this team, I would want crit damage.
Okay, I'm good with that. So then we get to GL Leia, and I find her. It's kind of I'd argue it's a very interesting scenario because it's very kind of similar to Jabba. Of if I gave the Jabba team a ton of offense, they're gonna do some things, but it opens up some counters that maybe you wouldn't want to have, and the same could kind of be said for Leia. Are you thinking the just build her like more build for her and make it more of a tanky cron, or give Drogon as much offense and crit damage as humanly possible?
See, again, it's another one of those scenarios where you don't want tenacity because Leia is just, in my opinion, I never put Leia on defense. Leia is just an offensive powerhouse. It's almost like a get out of jail free card. So tenacity you're not going to want. I don't even think you're even going to really want health or protection. You want to make Drogon and Leia as deadly as humanly possible.
Yep.
So crit damage, offense, armor pen. Now let me
Drogon is special. I know he's
real
special.
quick. because I don't want to lead anybody. I don't want to lead anybody astray. So Leia is based off physical damage from what I'm. Yep, physical damage. I'm almost positive that Drogon is the same. No, Drogon is special.
And I think R2 is special
So
too.
armor pen is not gonna be applicable for Drogon.
Yeah. I
So
I
yeah, I
might
would definitely say offense and crit damage.
and then
Armor
throw
pen, if you get it, keep it.
or
But
would you throw health in that third slot just to keep her just to kind of keep them topped off for like a Bane type situation?
no, honestly, because I mean, unless you really dedicate a lot of secondaries into health, that's not going to matter against Bane. If you're not modded right and a good Bane player faces you, you're going to lose.
Okay. So just make it armor pen and move on with life.
Well, offense. So
Yeah,
my for
crit.
Leia, it would go in the hierarchy of three. It would be offense, crit damage, armor penetration.
And then we get to Ahsoka.
Yeesh.
And now I'm gonna argue that I'm still gonna use the other set with Ahsoka anyways for right now. But game planning for if you have a set that you're gonna use for her here, you going
Yeah, no,
after.
we're still no, you're right. We are still running off the last set, but I would have to say for this one, I mean, I don't know what do you think? I mean, because it's such a new team, I'm
I feel
almost
like
kind
the
of leaning towards health and protection just to make it
yeah just
so
to
much more annoying.
I feel like the I'm gonna agree with that because I'm gonna go health protection and then in the last slot I'd probably throw the armor pen because so many people run defense for that team. Like I think that's what I'd probably throw that. Oh, sorry, no, for the Ahsoka team, offense for third. But I think with that team, my lose conditions have always come from them sticking around too long. It's never the. I don't feel like I get out damaged by them. It's normally I can't kill them in time.
Okay.
That's that's normally my lose conditions. But I think overall the rating we went with 1 to 7 being offense, crit damage, armor pen, health protection, crit chance, tenacity. If you follow that through, your GLs will be fine. That if you kind of try to aim for the offense and the crit damage, almost every single GL will have something that they need.
Well, I know we said something about survivability, but I did just a quick check. Every team in the main core of Spectre is all physical damage.
Are they?
Yep. I just checked every single one of them. They're all
So
physical.
maybe
So if you
so maybe
stacked up a massive amount of armor pen, that
that makes a
that could be
difference.
ugly.
I like that. I like that. So then we get to the level threes for this set. So we finished the stats. Moving into level 3 now.
All right.
So I think we're gonna rate them 1 to 5 for the light side, dark side, and then I think we just say, hey, for this GL, this is the best one, and that way we don't need to spend it. I don't think there's a ton of level threes that I'm howling at the moon for here.
Oh, there's not on either side. There really isn't. These are rather kind of neutral. You're just like, meh. All right. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, like I think for light side, the one I get the most excited about is the 25% turn meter at the start of battle. I feel like that just it changes
Oh
so
yeah.
many
No.
teams.
The top candidate. I mean, with all the Datacron farming I've been doing already, yeah. It's the 25% turn meter. That's the one. That's the one you want.
Yep.
Um, I would say the second from there. Because situationally, light side characters can do this quite a bit. Whenever light side allies daze or stun an enemy, they recover 10% health and protection.
Yes.
Um, I would actually that would be the next one. From there, I would go whenever light side allies inflict a debuff on an enemy, they deal damage to that enemy equal to 2% of that enemy's max health.
Yep.
Again,
Especially for Leia.
situational. Light side tunes are not known for their debuff prowess. They do debuffs, but not as frequent as dark side tunes.
Nope.
Um, and then whenever light side allies critically hit enemies more than 4 times during their turn, they gain 5% crit damage stacking to the end of the battle. Now I will say that one will tie into a level 6 and a character we will get into further on down the road. But that is incredibly situational and should only, like, if you get that, that's because you're working on a very specific cron.
Yep.
And the last one, whenever light side allies inflict damage over time, like who who does
I
that?
was I literally thought I was like, who inflicts this? Like I could come up with Beskar Armored Mando, I think on his basic does. And I'm just
I had to
I
look it
was
up.
who is it?
Oh, hold on. I no,
Is
I
it there's
I
not
looked it
that
up a while ago when it first came out, and I forgot already.
um
Um.
I feel like Biston is one of them.
Oh, light
Um
side damage over time. You know what? Off the top of my head, I don't know. I
oh,
don't
Queen
know.
Amidala
But
can.
okay.
But that's on if you attack out a turn or something. She inflicts that, right?
But it's so obscure and such a random
Yeah, that's like the Lord
thing that
Vader. That's like a Lord Vader
if you were to
Datacron.
roll that, it would be. I feel like in most instances, that's going to be a wasted level 3.
Yep. And so when I look at these for the GLs, I know right off the bat the 2% max health damage is best with Leia because that helps juice her ultimate. That's her ticket to ultimate.
Yeah.
Um
Yep.
I think for JML the 25% turn meter is going to be the ticket there.
Well, I mean, to be 100% honest, almost every lights. I mean, really, it's almost not even fair. It's almost every cron you roll, you're going to want light side allies start the battle with plus 25% turn meter. You're just, I mean, like picture that with, because I know a lot of people like to throw their Mandos at Gungans. Sometimes you kind of have to weather the storm as
Yep.
the Gungans are throwing all the weird orbs at you and doing AoEs left and right. For you to actually get a turn to be able to start working on the generator, this could potentially adjust that and make that battle a lot easier.
Yep. Would you
And
for
there's other scenarios where likely, this is gonna, really, really benefit light side.
Jedi Master Kenobi, which one of these are you? I was trying to think through that. I'm like, which one of these actually helps him? And it's got I like the only thing I can think of is the max health damage, but they're not a debuff heavy team. They don't inflict dots. You can't gain turn meter. There's no days and stuns on that. There's one stun on that team with Padme's kick. And like we said, they're not AoEs, so they're not critically hitting 4 times.
No, really, with Kenobi, you're gonna want the plus 25% turn meter.
He can't gain turn meter.
Oh,
Allies and
thank you. No, thank you. I stand corrected. You're right. You're right.
I feel like
Wow. Um,
the 2% max health is the best bet at that point for the GL anyway. Like just when he inflicts vulnerable and whatever else, it boosts a little bit, but it's
no,
not.
that's true. So days are stun an enemy. I mean, that's very situational. You don't definitely don't get a lot of stuns on that team. Yeah, recover 10% health and protection.
Dazer stun.
Again,
I could.
this cron set is just so specific
Yeah. Did
on
it?
the level sixes and the characters that it's leaving a lot of other factions to kind of scramble on. All right, we're just settling for the rest.
Yep. Dark side now. I'd say there's a couple more. In a way, there's a couple more I like here than I do the other side, and then there's two of them that I'm like, don't ever give me this.
Well,
Um,
I went first. I went first last time. You go first on this one. What do you got for your hierarchy with this?
so I would say number one for me is going to be the Dark Side Allies 15% turn meter when they use a special. I
Oh,
think,
with every special ability?
yeah, I think
Absolutely.
that's my number one.
Absolutely.
Is the amount of time, the amount of Dark Side teams that rely on turn meter. Um, it's so that's what makes Doctor Afra tick. That I just use her like she's a prime example of without that she's trash, and with it she is amazing.
My
Um,
my only comment with that, while I love that for Afra, and I know a lot of people dump on Afra. I love using her. If I have an opportunity to use her in GAC, I do. I think she's a fun team to use. My only issue is even with this 15% turn meter and some of the other stuff we're going to get into with faction, especially the characters and droids. Dude, I don't know if that's going to be enough against this Hut cartel.
oh yeah, I'm actually very nervous.
Yeah, I
um,
just I just don't know if it's going to be enough.
I would say next for me when I'm reading through them and I think about the impact it has, I I lean more towards the 5% offense for two buffs over the dark side tank. And the reason I say that is because I think there's enough teams that the revive doesn't matter against. Um, for example,
So, which one are you saying is the second one after the 15% turn meter?
would be if they start with two buffs, they gain 5% offense stacking to the end of the encounter.
I was kind of torn, to be honest, between that and whenever dark side allies use a basic ability, they gain crit chance up, crit damage up, and offense up for 2 turns.
Yeah.
I was kind of torn between those two. You are right. The dark side tank is very situational. That is a level 3 I would want on a Malgus team.
Yes.
But other than that, I mean, possibly again, if you don't get the special ability 15% turn meter, that with Hut Cartel is not horrible, but only if you're also going to use Gamorrean Guard because Chrysanthemum revives anyway.
Yeah,
But
and you're gonna kill if you kill Chrysanthemum first, it sort of nullifies.
it really does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I go I think the 5% offense stacking. I think why I like that. I mean, yeah, buff immunity is gonna stop both of those things. So it's tough, but I think I like anything that stacks over the course of a battle. Like I think of Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, that he's gonna have two buffs a lot of the time, and in a fight against GL Ahsoka Tano, he getting 5% offense stacking is gonna be a big deal.
No, I would agree. I would agree 100%. Yep.
But
And then
then
kind of the last one, whenever dark side allies start their turn for each enemy with fewer than 4 debuffs, 30%, that's such a waste.
oh the 30% potency the
Oh,
potency
it's
it's
so
so,
bad.
I when I roll that I just like commit seppuku. Like that's
I, I
worse.
am I am not gonna lie. If I don't like the first two secondaries and then on the third roll I roll that, I scrap it.
Yeah. Just get rid of it.
Like I'm like, no, I'm not even because if you don't like your secondaries, you're going to invest some resources to at least re-roll one of them. And now you've got to re-roll level 3, see if you get the alignment you like. And if you
Yeah.
don't, then it's just no. If I don't like the 2 secondaries and I roll that, it's scrapped.
Yep. So I think so Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, I think the 5% offense stacking, in my opinion, is going to be the best one there. I think for Sith Eternal, I'd argue this 15% on the special is gonna be best for him, because I'm thinking of the link that he uses that twice. That's 30% turn meter. Um, Between him and Bane, like especially if you use Bane with him, I feel like that's gonna be the best one for him.
Yeah, if you use Bane with him, the 15% turn meter would be the one to use. Yeah.
Lord Vader, I'd actually go with basic buffs or the dark side tank, because I don't think Vader gives enough buffs out to. His team is not very buff heavy.
Yeah, Lord Vader, I would want the basic ability, critical chance up, damage up, and offense up for 2 turns.
Because he does
Because
use his.
If you have Piet in that team,
Yes.
whenever Lord Vader assists and he's doing his basic, it's just you're gonna get those buffs constantly.
And then for Jabba, 15% on special.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yep.
15% turn meter with Java. Yep.
Yep. All right, so that's our level 3s, and then we get to the level 6s. And again, I think here we're gonna cover. We're gonna talk about the general faction in a sec, but I think we both agree that the best level 1, the best level 6 for every single faction is the wordy one.
It's the big paragraph every single time. There's a trend going on in CG that if it has more than just a one-line sentence, it's the best one.
It seriously, like, I began to notice that with one of them, where I was like, oh, this character's like gain relic amplifier, gain like max health for relic amplifier levels, and then it's like book. Okay, I want the book.
Yeah, I mean, they don't even try to hide it anymore. When they unveil a new Datacron set, when we see one with the most words, we go, oh, snap, what's that?
Yeah, like
Read that one.
I
Yep.
now you did say there's a couple sleepers down here that we like.
There are like because here's the other thing. There is a bit of, I don't know if you call it an algorithm. Again, I'm not into that much tech stuff, but it is harder to roll some stuff than it is others.
Yep.
That's been proven as far as I know when it comes to this. So if you don't get the wordy ones, I've tried to go down through each faction and go, all right. If you're really busting your hump trying to get a specific level 6 and you're not getting it, here are some possible, other options that, while may not work as efficiently, they will work. They will
Yep.
do some work for you.
What are you thinking there for, say, mercenaries?
Well, obviously, mercenaries.
Outside of the
The wordy
wordy.
one is the best. Start of the encounter, 100% defense penetration. That's just, I mean,
And then if
giving
so what would
5%
you
more
say
damage for each stack of Soldier of Fortune. That's just outrageous.
what would you go with the second one there? If you had to pick a second level 6? Or do you think you don't even pick, there's not enough there that's worth it?
There's actually two that if I got either one, I wouldn't be overly offended with, and that's at the start of battle, mercenary allies gain retribution for 3 turns, which can't be
Okay.
dispelled. So you're gonna crit for 3 turns, gonna happen. Um, and at the end of each turn, the mercenary allies recover health and protection equal to 50% of the amount enemies recovered. I just think for survivability reasons, that's not a bad thing. Um, Whenever mercenary, like the other one, critically hit an enemy, 10% offense stacking for 2 turns. again, how many other than Balin? How many mercenary teams are we fielding?
Yeah. And it's a
So
yeah, I feel like that's a faction where it's like, all right, I'm not get there's like singular mercenaries inside of certain teams, but there's not enough that you're like I need this level 6, like my life depends
yeah.
on it. Now, smugglers, I would say there's a couple more where there's some teams that utilize a few. After the wordy book one, is there anything you think that would be more beneficial?
Are we still talking about mercenary?
I was just gonna go with like the couple 3 for each um level 6. I wasn't gonna go into every level 6 for the faction.
Oh, so like what's my
So I have the wordy book, the retribution, and 50% recovery for mercenaries.
yeah, so for Hut Cartel,
Oh, hot cartel. Okay, yep.
I would I don't mind whenever enemies are damaged at the start of their turn, Hut Cartel allies gain 2% turn meter. I mean that's not horrible. Um I would actually take the ability block one over that.
Oh,
And
okay.
even the 50% falls below 50% health and gain damage immunity. I mean, those three are not horrible. So if I had to put it in a hierarchy, I would go ability block first,
Yep.
falls below 50% health, damage immunity, and then whenever enemies damage at the start of their turn, they gain 2% turn meter. So
Yep.
if you can't get the wordy one, the ability block one isn't bad because if you think about the amount of assists that Hut Cartel teams are doing, you're going to be throwing ability block all over the place.
Yes. Well, it's only if no other enemy is ability blocked, but it
Right.
helps. But it does help that you can pass that around to who you want.
Yeah, because the second if that's dispelled when you go, that's being applied again. So it's it's
Yeah.
it's almost a constant ability block because of how quickly that team operates.
Yes, absolutely. So are you thinking droids next or smugglers next?
So for smugglers, obviously the wordy one is out. Like
King.
that is, I've been testing some of that in arena, and that is just disgusting. The one
Yeah,
hundred
I'm.
percent evasion. It's
It's
like
so
you're in a
ridiculous.
way. It's almost like you're getting the Dodgecron back. It's
Oh.
really ridiculous. Now, if they're debuffed, they lose it. But
Yeah, you have
it's
to.
if they're
There's a
not
couple.
debuffed, you're not hitting them.
Yeah, there's a couple of teams where you're like, all right, that's my. If I see that, that's what I have to use against them.
Um, I do like. I would say after that, it's the retaliate one at the start of the encounter, the end of their turn,
Yep.
gain retaliate. I like that. That's not bad. Um, First time each smuggler ally falls below 50% health, they reduce their cooldowns by one. I'm not a fan of the 10% turn meter. To be honest, if they wanted to make that more attractive, I think they should have made that 50.
Yeah, really.
I don't
Yeah.
really think that would have adjusted the meta too much. Like not like the first one, not like the wordy one, but again, it's like eh. So that's really for smuggler.
Yep.
The one thing I will say about smugglers, and this is where again, if you don't get the wordy one, try to get the retaliate, but you're going to be able to field more than one team of smugglers in any GAC.
Yeah. I was.
Depending on where you are in game, I
Yeah.
get some mid game may not be able to field two
But
full
like
teams of smugglers.
your Chewbacca and Han Solo are smugglers for people with like a CLS team,
Exactly.
and that just imagine sitting there and not being able to hit those guys and letting them just pick you to shreds.
Yeah, so say you got the 100% evasion and you put a CLS team on defense with really good offense and crit damage secondaries.
Yeah.
Yet you can't hit the one character that does the most damage on the team.
And the character that you target first is always Chewbacca because you need to get rid of guard and you can't
Yeah.
hit him unless he's debuffed.
Yep. So I mean,
Um,
again, there's not a lot of different comps. So again, you're right. It's not like you have to just exclusively stick to scoundrels. Look at your scoundrel roster. How can you implement, like, what other smugglers go into other teams,
isn't
and then just
Zori
kind of plan accordingly.
Zori's one too?
Now, droid. Droid. And I feel like it's been a while since droid's got some love. Um,
I yeah, I obviously wordy has to be number one. That's just so ridiculous. I after that,
other than I'm gonna be honest, man. Other than the wordy one, they're all kind of garbage.
yeah, I was thinking the
They're
same
not
thing.
great.
I would if I'm looking at them, like you said, I could live with like the retribution for my mercenaries or the recovery. There's none of those that I want for droids.
No, if I don't get the wordy one from droids, I'm like I'm re-rolling that shit for it because some of these I'm like, I mean,
And
even the
then
first time each droid ally falls below 50% health, all droid allies reduce their cooldowns by one and one again 10% turn meter.
yeah, it's embarrassing. And then in terms of general faction, if we had to say, hey, these are the level sixes that the level six you should aim for the most, and I think we kind of spoiled it a little bit, but I feel like Smuggler is the most important of the level sixes because it's the I don't want to say it's the largest because I think there are a lot of mercenaries, but I would argue the smuggler level 6 is the most impactful, and there's enough smugglers that go into various teams that pose problems.
Oh, 100%. And the fact if they're not debuffed, I mean, whenever they have 100% evasion, whenever they evade, they're recovering health and protection. Now, I will say, we were talking earlier in some of the alignments about light side damage over time. There is a thing here in the smuggler that
Yeah, I did see that.
if that was evaded, is inflicted with a stack of damage over time for 3 turns. So you could make an interesting combination, but I'm sorry, I'm 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 still going for the plus 25% turn meter.
Yeah,
I'm
me
not.
too. I'm not trying to mess around.
Yeah, I'm not even stressing that. Oh, damage over time. I got to get this one. No, I like turn meter.
And then for the second, would you put mercenaries or would you put droid?
Second for droid. Oh God, these are so bad.
No, no, no.
Um,
Like for general factions. So in like the if you were to say I could have the only faction level 6 you could have is smuggler. If you can't get smuggler, what's the next level 6 that you want?
it would definitely. I would have to say it would definitely be Hut Cartel, just because I think with the right combination and again we'll get to it with Mob Enforcer, that's just going to be a menace on the holotables.
Yes.
So I would go Smuggler, Hut Cartel, Mercenary, Droid.
Yeah. All right. So then we finally get to the level 9s. And I have in this spreadsheet, I have like a list of all the level 9s at the top so that way people can go back and see it. But I think we've got to go with we'll do like a general rating, and then that'll kind of help us fill in each of the faction ratings at the same time. So, in terms of the general rating, what level 9 do you think is the best? If there's only one level 9 you were allowed to have, what would it be?
Oh man, this is tough because I'm
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
really I'm really torn between two.
okay.
And unfortunately, until we get into GAC and kind of see what's going to happen here, I'm not going to know who's really going to be number one. So I'm going to go on my gut and what I think is going to be number one, what I think is going to have the most potential impact, at least offensively, and I think that's Sana Staros.
I was very much thinking that as well.
That Kron, when you read it,
Oh, it's
that is absolutely disgusting. Now,
I'm
my only question with that is, would you want to use her lead, or given some of the level threes for light side we've seen, especially when it comes to how many crit hits you get, would you want to use a Rolo lead?
you know what's funny?
Because
I wasn't even thinking of it sounds so bad. I wasn't even thinking of using her with that team. I was thinking of throwing her with Ray. Because it says at the start of the encounter, all allies gain
yeah, just
100%
that
max health, 50% max protection, and 25 speed. I mean, that's just so stupid.
and
Now,
defense up.
then it also says, whatever she gains turn meter, all allies gain 25% offense stacking for 3 turns. Like, that's just, I mean, I think that's so nuts. That if you put that, like, 2% max health damage, and you obviously you kind of have to craft a team for it, but you could give out so much offense to that Ray and Ben Solo and Ezra Exile. Like, holy hell! I just think
Yeah,
that's so problematic. I
that
think
is true.
I don't know
And
that
I
I'm.
think that's kind of been a common thing in this game, is that whenever there's a new toy, something like this that's really potent, everybody wants to put it on a Ray team. And I get that. I totally
Yeah,
understand that, because Ray, even to this day, even my GAC experience, is still one of the more annoying legends to have to really
yes.
contend with.
Which is it's so funny because for the longest time that was the one that I wanted to see on defense. And just as the game has evolved, there's more tools that she can use, and it's gotten scarier and scarier.
Hence Ben Solo.
Yep. So
Yeah.
then, what's your number two?
Oh, number two is definitely Mob Enforcer,
I
without
would.
a doubt. I read that, dude. Like literally, my Mob Enforcer was sitting at relic 5. The second I read that, I immediately put it to 7. Actually, no, correction. I put my Mob Enforcer to relic 8.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, the buff
Like,
the buff
like
immunity,
if the ally in the leader slot is Hut Cartel, whenever they use an ability, Mob Enforcer assists, dealing 50% more damage. At
more
the start of
damage.
Mob Enforcer's turn, all enemies inflicted with thermal detonators are inflicted with buff immunity for 1 turn. Whenever Mob Enforcer attacks out of turn, she always scores a critical hit if able. Whenever an enemy critically hits Mob Enforcer, that enemy is inflicted with a stack of thermal detonators for 2 turns, which can't be evaded or resisted. And then you combine that with the Hut Cartel's level 6, the wordy one. That's just gross. It's just, oh my God. It's just,
When an
I
enemy
mean,
is inflicted with thermal detonator, they're immune to health and protection recovery. That
yeah.
is that is arguably the scariest thing you'll ever read. Like the other
I mean,
parts of
you
it
are,
is still nuts, but I feel like being immune to health and protection recovery is just such a scary thought.
I, I'm just gonna call it. I could be wrong, but I just think for the entire time that this set is out, if a player has the 15% turn meter level 3, the wordy Hut Cartel level 6, and Mob Enforcer level 9, and decent secondaries, you're going to see this team on defense without fail every GAC, and you are going to have to deal with it.
Yep. So now
And I'm sorry, Night Sisters, not going to work.
nope.
Afra, not going to work.
Yeah,
Slicker, I honestly don't know. even with Ray, I don't know.
I think
Because it
the only thing is she immune to the stun? Like Coors Light Leia is immune to the stun, and so is Skiffguard Lando, but like Embo and Kersantin aren't.
the thing that scares me about First Order against Jabba is the fact that like, and I've done some testing in Arena with Jabba. Teams that start with tenacity up, such as like Ahsoka, for instance, very difficult to get thermal detonators to stick. Slicker doesn't Slicker doesn't have a tenacity up mechanic. The
Nope.
First Order team just doesn't have it. So if you're going up against that, and that's on defense, and Leia and or Boosh and Mob Enforcer is just going to be chucking thermals at you. And meanwhile, while that's happening, they're gaining what is it here? Whenever an enemy takes damage from a thermal detonator, all Hut Cartel allies gain 5% offense stacking until the end of the encounter. And then they're also immune to health and protection recovery. So I don't, I mean, call me crazy. I don't know if Slicker's going to be able to even touch this.
I think the
This might
only
be one of those teams where there's a good chance you might have to Jedi Master Kenobi this or GL Ahsoka.
I'm debating that, or I'm wondering if 1 3v3 I think will be an interesting situation for this Kron, because you're giving up Chrysanthemum or Leia to use Mob Enforcer.
Well, no, and you are very very right about that. I will honestly say how I'm going to play it. I will not be using Mob Enforcer with Hut Cartel in 3v3. I
Or
will
if you
go with
are
the
you'd use her with like Embo lead or something.
exactly. So now in 5v5 GAC, absolutely. Mob Enforcer's in that team. 3v3, it's going to be Jabba, Boosh, Chrysanthemum, and I'll stick with the good level 6. Let
Oh,
my, thermal detonators do their thing. And then maybe, I mean, there is enough Hut Cartel that you could potentially make another team that could be slightly annoying.
you know
But
what?
again, we'll have to see
If
what plays out.
if you did Boba, Dengar, and Mob Enforcer, you could make some, or like a Zam, you could make some silly things happen. Because Boba's Hut Cartel, so you get the Mob Enforcer mechanic, and Boba's lead gives out, I think, is it speed or turn meter for thermals.
Well, I mean, that's the joy of a new set of Datacrons with 3v3. You're going to be able to take factions and kind of split them up and make new and interesting teams, which will free up your roster depth to be more efficient on offense. It's a great thing.
They gain 15% speed for each debuffed enemy,
Yeah.
and then gain 15% turn meter whenever a thermal detonator explodes. Which they're going to be exploding a lot. So I'd be curious if that team could do something. But anyway,
Yep.
so now number 3. And this is where I don't want to say you're splitting hairs, because I still think there's probably a hierarchy. But number 3, if you had to say what's the next Datacron you would go for after Mob Enforcer?
Oh, without a doubt, Nest.
Yep.
Nest. Immune to max health reduction. Whenever an ally takes a turn, Nest assists. Or she inflicts a debuff, she gains 20% critical damage, stacking until the end of the
Oh,
encounter. Um, Whenever she uses a special ability, she attacks again, dealing 20% true damage. I'm going to make a prediction right now with this Kron that in 3v3, I think it's going to be Ray, Ben, Nest. In 5v5, I think it's going to be Ray, Ben, Nest, and 2 other smugglers.
okay.
to utilize a really decent level 6, and then the Seer Malicos counter is going to be dead on arrival.
Yeah. Now, I did see Arnold go up against a team like that in his GAC, and he used, now of course, but he used Lord Vader and clear. Now he had the old 15 and 15 cron for Darkseid that went away, so grain of salt. But Lord Vader ripped that team for full banners with the Nescron, with L3 and Chewbacca, like Rebel Chewbacca.
Oh, and he beat it with Lord Vader?
Yeah, because Lord Vader's attacks can't be evaded. So he ate through the level 6, and he's going to be applying the debuffs. You have Maul's attacks, which can't be evaded. So, like, Rey and Ben don't get any benefit, and then you just wreck the team.
All right, so this was in regular arena, right? So Ben
No,
Solo's Omicrons were not even being
no, it was
utilized.
it was GAC. He killed Rey. He killed Ben inside of Lord Vader's ultimate, and then
Oh, all
handled.
right, but it couldn't have been. It wasn't obviously from this Kron set.
No, yeah, it was this. It was this. The Enfys Nest. I'd have to go back and look. I think it was his last stream. He faced the Enfys Nest Datacron, and
Yeah,
just
because we haven't had a GAC with this new set yet.
yeah, we did the last. You had it available for the last week of
Oh,
5v5.
somebody actually had it already?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh dude, come on now.
Wow, and I thought I was ahead of the curve. Damn.
Yeah, I guarantee if you go back, I don't know if you have Swago Premium, but you could go check. But Lord Vader ate it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now, that's using a GL that I would argue more often than not can cause problems on defense, because I know everybody says Bo-Katan counters Lord Vader, which yes, she does, but I've seen a bunch of people fail against mine with the last Ufu set.
Yeah,
With the
my Lord Vader is never on defense anymore, ever. There's
so
there's no point. There's just too much stuff can beat it. There's just no point.
so that's where I think he could be helpful against this smuggler stuff. Because even him on by himself on like a full auto can probably beat some of those teams.
Yeah, no, it's gonna change. Like this potential Ray team is gonna make things a little different. It's gonna force some people to change things around, and they're gonna. I mean, they're definitely gonna have to use their Seer Malicos team elsewhere, because that. I mean, when you
Yeah,
got Nest counterattacking that often and just picking away at Malicos, because if Malicos dies, you're done.
and she strips away your damage immunity. She strips away taunt.
Yep.
So then after Nest, where are we going?
I'm torn. I'm torn between two. It's either Kiara or
Okay,
HK-47.
okay,
Now, Kiara I like because I like the I've always I don't know, I was a fan of the movie. I always liked the team. You
yeah,
know, I've got decent mods in my young my young Lando hits like a truck. L3 I've got high relics on good mod. Like I'm hoping this team kind of comes back to prominence and can be kind of a force in GAC. We'll see.
yep,
Um, the only thing I will say is that it kind of once again goes towards mercenaries with the 5 stacks of Soldier of Fortune. So her place might be with Balin. That's kind of looks like where they're headed.
yes, yep,
Now with HK, and I know I'd heard quite a few people say that, oh, well, Imperial Pro Droid's going to be really good with Afron. And you're not wrong.
yeah,
That's, after we get through these two, that was going to be my next. But I think a lot of people are going to kind of overlook HK, maybe just because he's been such a shit character for so long
yes,
that, I mean, on paper, this is brutal. You know, I mean, he's not a very fast character, so the fact that you're getting 15 speed for each droid ally on the team,
Oh,
and
it's
then he
huge.
evasion down on all enemies for one turn. Whenever an enemy is inflicted with burning or torture, HK's abilities cooldowns are reset.
And
I mean, he's just going to be chucking those grenades left and right, and you are going to watch teams just absolutely melt.
well, and they're also when they're inflicted with tenacity down, they're inflicted with fear. And those
Yeah.
grenades inflict tenacity down. I definitely think HK is up here for me. Cuz that just I think that changes the dynamic of how you can use that character.
Not only that, but there's a good like. Granted, this is focused towards droids, but again, I'd be willing to try it. But there's a case to be said that you could put this back in a Sith Empire team.
Yeah.
And with his kit, if you tried a Darth Revan lead and had Malgus as like your tank, because I think two of his Omicrons work outside of his leadership.
Yes.
I mean, that could be an interesting team
Darth
combination that
Darth
could
Revan,
be
HK,
utilized.
Basti, Malik, Malgus. That's a scary
Yep.
thought. That's a scary thought. And
So
then
from there,
after,
I would definitely go with Probe Droid. It's not bad. Takes a turn. Probe Droid takes a bonus turn. Deals
yep.
100% more damage. I mean, it's not horrible. I to be honest, I'm kind of thinking Probe Droid might go back with my Lord Vader team.
Yeah, just to do something.
Yeah,
I don't hate that. And then where are we throwing the next one I was looking at was Kira. Where would you put Kira? Would you put Kira before Probe Droid or Kira before HK?
I'm gonna put her. Me personally, where I'm at, I'm gonna be putting her with other smugglers. Just because I have the new Bad Batch Hunter at 7 star, and
Yeah.
I have his Kron, and that is going with Balin. Because that Kron, I don't know if you've read it or heard it,
It's
but it's
stupid.
gross.
So is Kira? I mean, in the listing here, like I've got Nest at 3. Where would you put Kira in that list between HK, better than HK, worse than HK, better than Probe Droid, worse than Probe Droid?
So no, my hierarchy for characters is definitely going to be Sonastaros #1,
Yep. Mob
um,
Enforcer 2,
Mob Enforcer 2,
Nest 3.
Nest 3, HK 47 4, Kiara 5, Imperial Probe Droid at 6, and then Cal Kestis at 7.
Okay. I agree with Cal at that spot. Like that you want to yes, it's very good. It makes him better, but it's not I would not be trying to go crazy for a Jedi Knight Cal Kron when some of these other ones exist.
I feel like we've had this Kron before with him, and it
Except it was
made a
Jedi.
Jedi Master Luke team a lot more efficient because he got to his little ultimate a lot quicker.
Yes.
So again, you're going to want specific secondaries. Obviously, no one else on a Jedi Master Luke team is going to benefit from mercenaries. So, yeah. So I would go with Cal Kestis as 7, and the rest, it's like, all
I
right,
really
I
like
mean,
I
Cara
kind of
Dune
like
is
the
meh.
I like BT1 a good bit. The extra armor shred. I don't hate that. Especially I'm thinking of like Afra in 3v3. Um that you're not going to end up running HK in place of Trips or BT.
I would actually go with that. If you don't get the HK-47 Kron, the BT1 is a very decent substitute. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. I think that it just there's something about the extra armor shred that that Afra team at times doesn't always have a lot of damage, and the armor shred is huge.
Oh yeah, because I mean, how many times have we been at GAC and he does his basic, on an assist, and it just melts somebody.
Oh, it's awesome. And then after that, I'm just looking at the characters. I'm not as concerned about their like I look at like Beskar Armor Mando as a big one, or even Embo. Like Embo getting whenever he critically hits 10% crit damage, defense pen, offense, stacking to 200%. I feel like that for some players could potentially be really nice. Instead of if you don't get Mob Enforcer, Embo is not the worst thing in the world because that is your natural fifth for the Jabba team.
Yeah, I would. I just feel like that's really kind of situational. How often you're going to get that many counterattacks or that number to really
Oh no, well it's critical
rise up
hits.
to a point where that's going to matter. If anything, a secondary from Hawk Cartel that I would have gone with was Cad Bane.
Ooh,
Whenever
okay, what's
another
the?
ally uses an ability, Cad Bane assists, and he's
Oh,
dealing
okay.
50% more damage.
I missed that one. I missed the Cad Bane.
So every time, doesn't matter if it's light side or dark side, another ally, any ability, bang bang. Cad Bane is double tapping your ass.
I don't hate it. I missed that. There we go. So then after Cad Bane, do we like Bam or Gamguard?
You're like, who?
Beskar Mando. The
No, I really don't. I I'm just I mean,
it's
it's nice if you get it. It'll go with your Mando team, but it's not something that I'm shopping for.
right. Because after this, I'm just looking through the rest of these, and I'm not. I don't see like Gamorrean Guard could be kind of interesting, but I don't know that it's better than. It's not better than Mob Enforcer, and I don't even think it's better than the Cad Bane one.
Yeah, no. I wouldn't say no to Stap, to be 100% honest, situationally.
Okay.
You know, very fast tune, not a big cooldown on his AoE. Whenever he deals damage to an enemy, remove 25% turn meter, and in some cases, especially if you have the well, no, that would be for light side, but if you have your Stap modded really well and he's fast, he potentially is going to go first. And
Yep.
yeah,
That's gonna
that's
cause problems.
25%. And then you're going to be able to just do what you want with your Grievous team.
Yes. Actually, win with Grievous. Then
Dash Rendar, I thought was rather blah.
yeah, I don't. If it was Dazed, that might be a different story for me. But it's Stun, and there's not a lot of. He has one stun ability on him.
Yeah. I know somebody. I can't remember. It might have been in the Scoundrels chat. It might not have been. I don't remember where I read it. But somebody said something about the Kyle Katarn one, and I read it and I went, "What? What are you talking about?" Like, if anything, like it reads, whenever Kyle Katarn inflicts a debuff, they recover 25% of their max health and max protection. I feel like, and the fact that you did my boy Kyle Katarn dirty this way, CG, and gave him a shit Datacron, you
Yep.
should be ashamed of yourself because this is terrible. It should read, whenever any ally inflicts a debuff, Kyle
Yeah.
Katarn recovers 25% of their
Yeah. I
max
like.
health and max protection.
Yeah.
That would have given me a reason to look at that and go, okay, that's on my list. I'll take that. Because, light side, 25% extra turn meter. That on a Mon Mothma with, that team being what it is right now. Yeah, I'd do that. But this, I mean, how often is mean, he's what? He's inflicting one debuff? One?
Maybe if you
He's
can get
not
an
a debuff
AoE.
monster.
Yeah, limit once per turn. So, like, it doesn't matter if he does his AoE with Force Connection. You're only getting one instance of that.
Yeah. So, and Greedo is just useless.
Yeah, that one pisses me off. The Cara Dune gaining stealth, recovering 100% protection is interesting, but it's not. Again, I feel like the teams you would end up using her in have better options, like
I
Sana.
feel like like, I agree. I feel like it could be annoying with a Mothma, Luthen, Cal Kestis team, and she's on there. Because, I mean, obviously, the rebel commander that Luthen spawns is going to get pretty much almost all the attention. And then
Yep.
Cara Dune's going to keep chucking her freaking grenades and getting potency up and stealthing and reviving. So yeah, I could see that being annoying. Yeah.
And then, oh,
But there's
excuse me.
ways around that. Like, a well modded Treya team, it's like, oh, Kara who?
Yeah,
All right.
Isolate. I don't. I think IG88. I don't hate this. You know, I just
Bob is
don't
killing me with this. Can you explain this to me?
like.
On
I
our channel, folks, for those of you that watch Fat Phil, I will just say over at the Scoundrels, I enjoy doing this with Phil so much because I don't get a lot of chances to actually really deep dive and talk Datacrons because Bob hates them. He's slowly warming up to it. It drives him nuts, but he kept telling me that, dude, IG88 making a comeback, and I read it and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, it's okay. It's
yeah,
not like I'm
damage.
not betting the farm on it.
Yeah, like the I get that. Oh, well, when he critically hits an enemy, he gains damage immunity, which could be very, very, very annoying there because he does critically hit a good bit.
He does critically hit, but he's slow.
Well, that's
He's
that's
generally a pretty slow character. And yeah, you're getting damage immunity for one turn, which being slow, that could benefit you.
and he can't,
But
which can't be
on top of that,
copied.
you're gaining 25% turn meter. So while you want the damage immunity to stick around, the Kron is actually kind of working against you.
Yeah, that and then he gains protection up, retribution, and he gains if the enemy was target locked, he gains speed up. Like what are we?
It's like, well, I was
If
all, oh, gee, like destroy, maim, conquer, and I'm going, no, he's not. Like,
the best
I hope you get it, and I can't wait to watch your next GAC.
like
And
that's the
so,
only character that wants critical
yeah,
chance on this list is so he can keep critically
yeah.
hitting.
You have fun with your IG88 Kron. I'm gonna stick with my HK. I'm gonna
It,
stick with that.
I can see it. Is the thing. I'm like I can see it be frustrating, but at the same time, I'm just like there's enough teams that stop critical hits. There's enough teams that have foresight. There's enough teams that stun that it just won't matter. That's
Yeah,
like if I stun you, it does. You can have damage immunity. It goes away, and you didn't critically hit me.
yeah.
But
So
that
I do have to say, out of all the characters that we've done, I know we had the hierarchy of Sana, and then we went with
Mob Enforcer.
Mob Enforcer, then it was Nest, and again, I know this is kind of whale material realm that I'm going in, but for someone that has it, um, after after Sana, I would definitely have to throw in Hunter's Kron because that's, I don't know if you've read it, but it is, for mercenaries, it is absolutely disgusting.
What is the I'm gonna what's your give me your ally code again. I'm gonna pull it up so people can read this thing.
What's my what?
Your Swago ally code.
Oh, my ally code? Hold on one moment. 746 975 472.
All right, let's pull this hunter. Oh, you have it. You've got it equipped on the Ray team, which is so funny. All right, so there you have two of them. So the first one looks like normal stats to me. Like it looks like normal stats. What's the second one? Which one would you say is more ridiculous? There's one that ends with. Whoops. There's one that ends with 41% crit damage and 38% crit damage.
All right, so the one that I like, it only has two different secondaries: armor pen, crit damage. That's it.
Okay. Yep.
Level 3 is whenever light side allies daze or stun an enemy, they recover 10% health and protection. For a mercenary team, I don't mind that. I could potentially roll it, but I'm probably gonna leave it alone. The level 6 is at the start of the encounter. All mercenary allies have 100% defense penetration. That's the wordy one.
Yep.
Now, the level 9, at the start of the encounter, Hunter, mercenary, gains 30 speed, and all other mercenary allies gain 10 speed for each mercenary ally till the end of the encounter, or until Hunter, mercenary, is defeated for the first time. Hunter is immune to ability block, cooldown increase, and turn meter reduction.
Good God.
If all allies are mercenaries, marked enemies deal 50% less damage. Whenever a marked enemy deals damage to a mercenary ally, dispel all debuffs on that mercenary ally, and they recover 15% protection. Whenever Hunter inflicts marked on an enemy, dispel it, and inflict marked on them for 3 turns, which can't be dispelled, evaded, or resisted, and call all mercenary allies with Soldier of Fortune to assist. Whenever a mercenary ally takes a turn, the cooldown of Hunter's This Will Hurt is reduced by 1.
That's just nuts.
So this is basically replacing the Balencron that just dusted for something a little bit better.
It's just I'm just all other mercenary allies gain 10 speed for each mercenary ally.
Yeah.
And that word
Hunter,
and that
Hunter
wording's
is already ridiculously fast.
so he's gaining 30, but then everybody else is gaining 50 speed is the way that reads. Cuz it's saying
So just a little bit of context. I'm going to my Hunter mercenary right now. I definitely tweaked his mods after I got him. So my Hunter's speed is at 353. So I'm gaining, what was that, another 30 speed?
yep, 30 speed, so you're at what,
So
380?
like just shy of 400.
And then on top of that, your Balin is gaining 50 speed. Because the wording says 10 speed for each mercenary ally, and whenever they use that for each, that counts themselves. Compared to for each.
Yeah, so looking at my Balin, who's sitting at 357 speed, that would put him just over 400.
Oh my God.
And then
What?
I built the
And
rest of my mercenaries pretty much for speed as well. Speed and damage, especially Shin.
Yeah. Gosh. I just sorted your roster by speed, and seeing Balin 357 is so crazy. So where is...
Yeah, I put I was pretty happy with how that modding worked out. It's like really good protection, really good health. He's incredibly fast. So he does what I need him to do. But yeah, that's where I would say where I would put the hierarchy of Datacrons. Now, the one thing I will say about this set, I think it's incredibly player friendly. I don't see a lot of stuff here that is exclusive. It's not like it's a new GL or new. I mean, Hunter, yeah, that's one thing, but you know, BT1, HK, Mob Enforcer, Sana. I mean, these are a lot of characters that people have unlocked and at Relics. So
Yes.
I think you're going to see a lot of diversity on the whole holotables in terms of how many crons people have and what they have to work with. And I honestly think CG learned a valuable lesson from the dodge meta. You know, they really have, I think, kind of veered away, other than a new GL just coming out. But I think they veered away from giving uh, crons to GLs because as a whale, you know, perfect example. This set came out. I looked at it. I read it. I went, okay. And as I started unlocking crons and getting what I wanted, I went, okay, well, now I want to put Nest to Relic 8. Now I want to put HK to Relic 8. Now I want to put Sonostaros to Relic 8.
Yeah.
Granted, while it's only temporary, it only lasts for 4 months, it's still developing roster depth. And I mean, there's whales and people out there that are relicking stuff to high relics just to do it. So it's
I
almost
that
in
is
respect the same thing, but not every player has to do that. Like
I would
you
even
only
say
have to
that
have a relic 5, but you could put them to 7 to get more bang for your buck.
yeah, like I was looking at like I know when I had like if I look at my Hut Cartel, like my Mob Enforcer will come up from Relic 3 to Relic 5 at least. Which I won't go crazy cuz I am like out of signal data. But it's still something I'm going to do regardless. Hey, I need to take this character up. She's important. But I'm even thinking like I remember the Moff Gideon cron for the OG Gideon.
Yeah.
I took him to Relic 5 to use that Datacron. And so it is one of those things where I have seen that side of it even on my own account where I might not be doing the Relic 8s or taking characters to Relic 7, but I've done plenty of Relic 5s to take advantage of those Datacrons when they come out. And I think they've done a better job spreading out the crons across certain characters. Like, obviously, they repeat some of the more popular, like Starkiller, Dr. Aphra, Malicos. But, like, the Jabba team has been cycled through a little bit. We've had Chrysanthemum, you've had Leia, Jabba himself. Now they're going to
Yep.
Mob Enforcer and Embo. Like, those are, to me, that's a good sign that they're trying to cycle through it to make sure that it's not just the same thing all the time.
No, totally agreed. And the other thing that I kind of had to do, which I know a lot of players are not going to have a lot of the resources to do it, but you know, but you have time. You have 4 months. It's like when a new cron set comes out, you also want to remod some of your characters. Like one of the main things, again, there's a lot of irresistible debuffs, but I went back and kind of checked my nest to make sure that she had high tenacity. Because if you daze her, it's like you've just kind of knocked out what her cron does.
Yeah.
So
I've had her modded for tenacity for so long, it's a problem.
to be honest, I think that last check my nest was tenacity. Oh yeah, 159.28.
I'm at 168.36.
See, there you go. There it is.
But I
So she's
also
not
haven't.
hard to get her tenacity up there, but I gave her full tenacity sets.
Yeah,
That's what I gave her.
yeah, me too. I have a bunch of random like tenacity mods there that I had purchased for like a CLS team or something that didn't work out, and so that's what ended up there. Like I have a 9 speed health circle with 10% tenacity on the secondary. Like Nest it is. Because she doesn't need the speed.
Okay.
She doesn't, she's not very fast. Mine's so slow, which is another problem. But she's another, like, you don't really want her too fast because you want her to, the bonus protection to stack.
No, you really don't. You don't want her fast because the amount of counterattack she's going to do. Like I think on her arrow, um, double check here.
My arrows crit avoid. I don't even know
Yeah,
why
my
I
arrow
have
is
that.
crit avoidance, and I was lucky, lucky enough, and it took me some rerolls. Lucky enough to have a 22 speed secondary on it.
Oh jeez, mine has 6.
Dude, I rerolled some shit for that. That was a rough go. But so yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's
that.
that's it for the Datacrons. That's what I would go with. And I'm gonna stick to it.
Yeah, I think I if we had to sum up this set, I think the biggest thing is don't get too worked up about the level 3s. And unless it's crit chance or tenacity, you're not going to get too worked up over the stats. Only because I think enough characters benefit from health and protection that it's not the worst thing in the world. But that the wordy level 6s are going to be your ticket to success, and a few of those high caliber level 9s that completely transform teams.
Okay.
And then otherwise,
Yeah.
if you don't have the teams and you're like, I don't have any of these characters, you guys are idiots. Focus on your stats and go get your Supreme Leader Kylo Ren with like 180% critical damage. That's what I would do.
No, agreed. Agreed.
But all right, man. Well, do you have
So
any last thoughts for us, Logan?
no, I got nothing else. I hope this was helpful to people out there looking to expand their datacrons. If you're not engaged in datacrons, that's cool. If this helped you to get a little bit more engaged and kind of a guide and on where to go, I think that's good. Datacrons are here to stay. It's not something that's going away, unfortunately. So I like the fact that we do this every time a new set happens. I personally enjoy Datacrons. I like rolling for them. I like going after them. I like finishing my shopping list, and I like seeing win or lose. I like seeing how they work in GAC. So again, Three Scoundrels every Thursday, 8:30 Eastern Time. We're on Twitch and Discord. Bob, myself, and Avant are there to have drinks, shoot the shit, and talk Swigo. So join us. But Fat Phil, thank you again very much, man, for having me on. I look forward to the next iteration of Datacrons with you.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you hopping on the Fat Phil channel.